kind of contraption like that, any engine, but we get 99%. Well, 1% of, so let's say there's a million parts and there's more than that in that whole construction.
Yeah.
1% is 10,000 parts. In other words,
Wow.
they accept won't work. Now, many of them, it won't affect the mission, but some of them it could. I suppose we're asked to accept that 6 times they all work to perfection on a very complicated way of doing it without going into the technical side, but to have the little lunar module attached to the command module and it then detaches to the moon, there's to come back and find each other and all those things. An interesting thing was after the Apollo 11, the first one, and 12, the second one didn't get the same number of television viewers. I mean, incredibly, really, certainly in America and probably around the world. The first one, people were looking in shop windows and watching when it happened, apparently. The second one, it was kind of accepted, and NASA were worried they would get their funding pulled as a result of the loss of interest, and they actually had about another 8 or 9 missions planned. Well, it's said as a conspiracy theory to regenerate interest, they did Apollo 13, which of course was the one that blew up a bit when it was up there, and they had to get the astronauts back, which they did eventually safely, and that renewed kind of the interest in it all. But yeah, it would be very easy to say, how did those 6 men really walk on the moon? One interesting thing is there's a very famous photograph of an astronaut on the moon on Apollo 11, but it's not Neil Armstrong. He took the picture of Buzz Aldrin. And you just think, if you're into conspiracy theories, again, you would think, well, surely the picture we should have is of the first human to walk on the moon. But that didn't happen. And equally, Neil Armstrong said when he put his foot down from the ladder onto the moon, he said, that's a small step for man, a giant leap for mankind.
Yeah.
Now, what he really meant was, that's a small step for a man, a giant leap for mankind. And many people have said he did it as a kind of a whistleblowing thing, a secret thing, to say this isn't really happening. This is just fake, and little things like that. And there's a lot of stuff that people have said, well, that couldn't be the case, and so on.
Yeah.
So again, conspiracy theories come out of all of this. I think for my part, I believe they went to the moon. There are a lot of questions which don't quite add up. I mean, for example, when you see those television shots of the lunar rover, you've seen that before, the big vehicle which 2 of them can sit in, and apparently they drove 2 or 3 miles away from their spaceship when they were up there. We're told that lunar rover sort of folded up and could go in the compartment immediately beneath this very fragile lunar rover. Well, if you actually look at them, you could say there's no way that could possibly fit on the base bit, which is effectively the bit that's there's no way that could possibly fit on the base bit, which is effectively the bit that stays on the moon, and the top bit goes up. So again, you'd be interested to know just how they could fold all of that up, something that size. But I don't say that to question it. I believe it happened, and I think I would need some evidence that it didn't before I questioned it. A final point is, why have they never gone back to the moon since then? If this was that straightforward to do it with the technology they had, 50 odd years ago, then why have they not gone back and built some sort of community there for research purposes and so on? Now, they're saying they do plan to go back, but I actually think they're planning to go to Mars before or around the same time that they go to the moon. And no doubt that will breed a load more conspiracy theories. Are they really going to Mars? So yeah, it's an interesting thing. What generates conspiracy theories? I think a very a recently famous one is somebody suggested that there is somebody who's playing a game, and that we on this wonderful planet Earth are parts of this game. We are. I don't know whether you remember the Nintendo Wii, something a console, a game you could play, and you had different characters. You could play games with it, and you could have Wii Fit and so on. And it's almost like someone is up there, you know. We're all components, we're all pawns in this game, and I think I'll get that guy Trevor to do this now, and put plants a thought in my head. We've talked about thoughts before, haven't we? And how do we know where they come from? I mean, it could be that someone's up there on his console. Oh, there's my mate Emmy. Yeah, I want Emmy to do this now. I tell you what, I'll black out his computer screen so Trevor can't see him. Now, it could be happening because we do get odd thoughts. Sometimes our thoughts are linked to something else, but we do get odd thoughts suddenly pop in there, don't we? And think, I'm not sure why I thought that, but in fact, we don't even think about why we get odd thoughts coming into our head, or any thought, but we don't know where they come from. So in theory, it could be that someone is up there, sending us all around in this great big computer game. And again, I don't say that's rubbish. I say it is possible. Indeed, although we don't talk religion or politics on this, some would say, and have said, that conspiracy theory about us being a computer game is only another description of God up there. We are the products of the creator. So it's almost a similar parallel kind of idea. But yeah, conspiracy theories, who knows? All I would say is I'm sure some of them would be true. There was a saying some time ago which said, just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean that the Russians aren't following me.
Yeah.
And and that's true in a way, because someone could say, that guy's just paranoid. He believes that, and he believes this. But even if that's true, if somebody is paranoid and think they're being followed, for example, that doesn't mean they're not being followed just because they're paranoid. So they could be right, but still considered to be paranoid. So that's a bit of another angle on it.
Yeah.
I'll give you one last one.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, I was going to say something that was going to surprise you, something crazy. Now, when you talk about this simulation where, somebody, we're part of a computer game and I actually believe that.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You believe it?
I do believe there is a force that is controlling, There are, like on a chessboard, you have the queen, the king, the pawn, so I believe, there are pawn, kings.
Did you say prawns?
Prawns.
You meant pawns.
Yeah, I did. Oh, dear me. This is all we've got time for, and there's so much yet to talk about on this topic alone. Yeah. But this is all we've got time for. Do you want to do the conclusion, bruv?
Yeah, as you say, there's quite a lot more to sort of, not just with conspiracy theories, but extending a few ideas out of it, which we'll do perhaps next time. But anyway, I hope you've found something of interest in what we've said today. I've been Trevor Gear, and I call him Cuz.
And I've been Emmy Hikins, and I call him bruv. Yeah, we got it right this time. It's a goodbye. It's a goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. See you next week, we hope.
See ya.